Clemson was supposed to be one of the most talented teams in the country. We'll talk about it right here on Locked On Clemson.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Tiger fans? Morgan Thomas here, Clemson fan, Clemson grad, host and producer of Locked On Clemson, part-time host and producer over on 105.5 FM The Roar. Thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen of the day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and a big salute out there to the everydayers. Those of you who are with me Monday through Friday every single week, and if you're new to the show, well, welcome in. Hope you enjoy it. 75% of you have not yet subscribed or followed the podcast, so what are you waiting for? If you're a Clemson fan, get exclusive Clemson content and discussion right here all throughout the week on Locked On Clemson. And again, we're going to continue to talk about this team, what they can do going forward, how they're going to build off of this. And really, they have 5 games to go in the regular season. Those 5 games are all in November, starting this Saturday on November 1st. This is a top 10 team. Actually, when you look at a 24/7 sports team composite as far as rankings are concerned and talent, which is recruiting rankings, are concerned, this is the 7th best team in the country. And as many thought going into the season, the most experienced team that was returning from the playoffs. However, they've played anything but it. The bottom third in offense, the bottom third in defense, in many stats and many significant stats. Points per play, 88th. Third down conversion, 92nd. Red zone touchdown rate, poor, 88. Giveaways on offense, 111th. On defense, not much better. Yards per play allowed, not bad, 27th. Sack rate, mid of the college football pack, and a great third down defense, but gives up explosive plays, keeps teams on the field, allows too many first downs. And then when they get in the red zone, a higher percentage of allowing teams to have touchdowns instead of field goals or less. This has been a huge reality check for Clemson and the Clemson fan base. And why does it matter? Well, I mean, the record just does not make sense. And there's not a bunch of injuries either that really can be cause to blame it either. So what really happened if you're playing these players and you've got the guys that you thought you would have? What's really going on? How did they get to a 3-1 or 3-4 overall record? To me, it starts and ends a lot with the line of scrimmage. I have sympathy for Tom Allen and even Garrett Riley, although I don't think Garrett Riley gets many more options after this, just because he's been there longer than Tom Allen. Thankfully, Tom Allen has only been here. This is his first year. But it's very hard to call any sort of game plan that makes any sense if you cannot rely on the blocking up front. And I'm still kind of wondering, how much can we really blame Matt Luke about this? Because they seem to be getting much worse after 2 years under Matt Luke, much worse now. And so is he some of the problem, or is it just not his players? I tend to lean on it's just not his players, because he's bringing in and recruiting extremely well for 2026. However, as we know, a true freshman offensive lineman for 2026, odds are they're not going to get much playing time. Even Braden Jacobs, who's a guy who, in my opinion, deserves more playing time based on what we've seen, is not getting a ton of it yet because he's just a true freshman. He doesn't know everything. Kind of goes back to that trust problem. Well, there's a big trust problem on this team. Dabo can say all he wants to say. Honestly, a lot of fans have mentioned to me that they've stopped listening to Dabo. In a lot of ways, I have as well, because he is just overly optimistic and overly appreciative about every single player on his team. I wouldn't say appreciative, maybe complimentary of players on the team. And many of those players you're never going to see, or when you do see them, you wish you hadn't have seen them. I don't know if that's type of leadership is really working for the fan base anymore. It used to work when those players would actually show up. Like every now and then, it would happen. Like Cornell Powell is a guy that I am reminded of, that Dabo hyped up all this time. For 4 years, he hyped him up, and then he finally showed what he can do in his last season at Clemson. That was one of the last questions I even asked Dabo, because I just don't ask. I don't go and ask him a ton of questions, just because, again, we know what we're going to get from him, which is overly optimistic, overly complimentary of players, and not a lot of true substance that we can hang our hat on, because what we've seen on Saturdays just doesn't seem to really match up with some of the things that he's saying. But this team got to where they're at because of lack of trust. You can't trust the offensive line to hold up. The guards play bad. The tackles play bad on the outside. The best player on the offensive line is a true freshman. So what can Garrett Riley really do or call if his offensive line is terrible? Everybody says you must establish the run. Everybody says you must rotate players more in the running back group. That's CJ Spiller's fault. Well, it's CJ Spiller's fault, but it's also, you don't get a ton of options. I mean, you're only even getting Adam Randall 10 carries last game. So if Adam Randall is only getting 10, what do you expect to give the backups? What do you expect to give Easy Omume and Gideon Davidson if Adam Randall is only getting 10? He's a one-man show, but that one-man show is not like Phil Maffa of last season, where it was one-man show, and it truly was. The offensive line is not helping this team get any sort of push to establish any sort of run game. They tried to establish the run game at the very beginning against SMU. It failed miserably. Thankfully, SMU's passing defense is so bad that they were able to kind of hang with them by changing and going to passing heavy. At that point, you're not running the ball anymore, so then you're losing your carries for your running back. So what does this team need to do moving forward? Well, I've got a lot of thoughts on the offense, and I've got a lot of thoughts on the defense that I'd like to see moving forward. And again, I'm not a coach on the team. I'm just a fan like you are. I'm a talking head in the media, but I'm here to debate it, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on what I've seen. We've seen, if you are someone like me who's been around Clemson football for decades, even before Dabo Swinney, and even those of you who have only seen a Dabo Swinney team, you know what looks right and what doesn't look right. And that's where I'm starting to say to myself, as I said earlier on this season, I haven't done this in the past as much, but when it looks bad, when it looks like a duck, don't let Dabo convince you that it's not a duck. I mean, that's basically where we're at. When it looks bad, don't let Dabo Swinney convince you it's not that bad, because it is bad. If the fans can see it, then it is there. And that's a concerning during the week, because if Dabo believes what he's telling the media, that is a big concern, because he needs to be positive. He needs to be complimentary, but behind closed doors, he needs to have difficult conversations with some of these players that are just not up to standard, And so that's the biggest frustration. Maybe he is having those things and the team's not responding. Then that's an even bigger concern. But this team has got to respond. How will they respond? Well, I have some ideas on offense we'll do on segment 2. And I have some ideas on defense that we'll cover on segment 3. I know you'll stick with me, because you are an everydayer and you're going to stick with me. And if you're not, you should be. But we'll get into what the offense needs to do in segment 2 right here on Locked on Clemson. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else as of August 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same attention to detail on how they craft every model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to the available Napa leather upholstery. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, getting into what are some things that I want to see from the offense going forward. And I've said this about, I put this over on X as well. You can follow me at the Morgan T Show. And there's a lot, honestly. There's a long laundry list. It's already getting a ton of likes. So go over there and check it out. I know you'll love it. But for the next 5 games, you've got just a limited amount of time left in your college career for most of them. For some of them, this isn't the end, but you got 5 games, no bye weeks, 1 month. Really, that's it. Just November, because November 1st is the start. And what do I want to see on offense? Well, let's start from what I believe to be the leader on the team, and that is Antonio Williams. Antonio Williams has posted on social media that he's ready to go, and that he is ready to take this team and empty the tank. And in my opinion, that's what he has to do. He is the leader on the offense, even more than Cade Klubnick, in my opinion. And so he needs to be active, available, and do everything possible to convert third down, everything possible to get open for Cade and to get seen for Cade. And it won't be hard for Antonio, because Cade loves to see Antonio Williams, and he looks for him many times first. So Antonio Williams has to finish every single game for the rest of this month, 5 games, with nothing left to give on the field. Maybe you could say Furman would be the one game that would be the exclusion to this list. But you know what I'm trying to say. If he is going to be the leader, the vocal guy, the public leader of this team, which he is, then every single game, you cannot feel like he didn't give it his all. And I really trust that 100% from Antonio Williams. So I'm not even questioning it. It's just, I'm saying I want to see it, because that type of dedication and push from a team will grow amongst the rest of the guys around on offense and defense. If they see him giving his all and emptying the tank 100% every single play, then other players around them will be embarrassed if they don't do the same. So Antonio Williams starts it. From there, the offensive line. I don't care where Braden Jacobs has to be on this offensive line, but he has to be on the offensive line. I don't care if you have to put him at guard. Put him there, or put someone else at guard. He needs to be on the field. It needs to be left tackle. And if it's not left tackle, put him somewhere else. I don't want to see the other guys. We've already seen them. If you want to see more of them, go to Eric McLean's videos and you'll be throwing up within 5 minutes. Okay. I don't want to see those guys. Braden Jacobs is one of the guys I do want to see, but he doesn't need to be on the bench. At this point, put him out on the field. What can it hurt? I mean, there's been plenty of times you've seen guys move from guard to tackle once they are the next man up. Why are you going to sit one of your better offensive linemen, regardless of how young they are, and let other people that aren't as good play 50 snaps? It makes no sense to me. Put Braden Jacobs on the field. Sit someone else, anybody else. Maybe not Ryan Linthicum, because he's a center, but anybody else, I'm willing to say, sit him. Sit him. Why not put him on right tackle and move Blake Miller somewhere else? Blake Miller's not amazing, in my opinion. I mean, he never has been, but he's like guaranteed the spot at right tackle. Why? Tristan Lee guaranteed the spot at left tackle. Why? The only time you're going to use Braden Jacobs is when Tristan Lee is injured. Why? Put Braden Jacobs on the field and leave him out there. Left guard, okay? Put him in left guard. Put him in left guard. I don't care. He needs to be out there. Maybe that makes no sense. Maybe I'm not a football guy and I have no clue and I'm an idiot. But at this point, being 3-4, no best players, no better players sitting on the bench. Better players, move them up. I don't care if you trust them fully or not. The talent is evident. And I'm going to move this forward to Gideon Davidson. Maybe Braden Jacobs being on the field in some sort of formation or scheme can help establish a run better. Clemson has to be able to establish a run. Take away the guard tackle counters, take away the pulls, just block. And establish a run. Do not do anything crazy until you've established a traditional run game with a traditional blocking scheme. Just establish the run and get your offensive line out there, your best 5. And establish the run with rotating Gideon Davidson in. And what I mean by using Gideon Davidson, I don't mean once or twice. If you're going to use Adam Randall 20 times, that's fine. Use Gideon Davidson 12 or more times. We need to see Gideon Davidson used much, much more than he's being used. Not being used at all is unacceptable. Only running a traditional run game 10 times, unacceptable. If the offensive line can't do it, then Garrett Riley, you've got to have a talk with Dabo Swinney. And you've got to say, this ain't working. We got to establish the run. You need to go over to the offensive line coach and figure it out. I mean, there's got to be some coach-to-coach accountability here. Not establishing a run game is unacceptable in this level of college football. And when you look at the better teams, they're establishing a run. Whether they're not just airing the ball out 70 times a game. They're good running teams out there. Clemson's got to be one of those, or at least got to have something to keep the defense honest. Because if you don't, then what's left to do? Pass the ball 70 times? Well, we know that didn't work either. You don't want Cade Klubnick passing the ball 70 times. Speaking of Cade Klubnick, he can't be on the fence about his ankle. You know, if he's a go, he's a go. I felt like he was on the fence last weekend or 2 weekends ago against SMU. And to me, I hated that. You know, he walked down Tiger Walk with a little bit of a limp. I would have much rather seen him in a wheelchair than do this little limp that he did. If you got a limp, put a boot on. That's my opinion on it. Don't come out in your $10,000 shoes. Put a boot on. You know, get in a wheelchair, whatever. Get in a little scooter with your leg up. Whatever you got to do. Have your offensive line carry you because they're not doing it on the field. Cade Klubnick cannot be wishy-washy about this ankle, come out and test it out, you know, put on some pads and then take them off and then put on his Clemson dad hat and his you know, white sneakers. No. All right. If you're a go, empty the tank. You need to be a leader on the team as much as Antonio Williams is, because that's what quarterbacks do. And in a day and age where most Clemson fans are still very, very aware that Deshaun Watson beat the Gamecocks with a torn ACL, wrapped up like a mummy with a brace on, and still went out there and battled and juked guys out to get into the end zone. This whole wishy-washiness about an ankle, the fan base hates that. And I hate it. And I know why the fan base hates it, because I hate it. So don't be wishy-washy. Hey, if you don't want to play, or if you're not feeling good about your ankle, I actually respect that. I'm not saying play through a major injury to make it worse. I'm saying don't be wishy-washy. You know, don't be questionable up until game time. No. Just make the decision. If you're a go, you're a go. Great, go. And then don't go out there and on the first tackle start limping around. You know, if you're a go, you're going to fight through it for 4 quarters. That's how I truly believe. You know, you're not playing 2 quarters here. You're not playing 3 quarters here. I know Clemson offense feels that way, but you're not. And then finally, before I move on to the defense on segment 3, because I know you're going to want to listen to my thoughts on the defense, Christian Bentancur has to be on the field. He is part of the core rotation. He is a great player. He is a rising star. He is lethal in the red zone. He has to be on the field. Christian Bentancur, tight end. I don't care how young he is. Get him on the field. He's got to be on the field, and he's got to have plays designed for him. All right, coming up next, third segment, we'll get talking about my thoughts on the defense for Clemson for the next 5 games. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move. Whether you're running, lifting, or cross training with your favorite instructors, this is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. I love how the Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching. It actually tracks your reps, suggests the right weights to use, corrects your form, and even makes your reps safer and smarter. It's like you have a personal trainer there with you. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. All right, segment 3. Thank you so much for the everydayers who are sticking with me through 3 segments. It really means a ton. The more watch time I get, the more my videos and podcasts get out there to other Clemson fans. So I appreciate you sticking there with me, and hopefully I'm giving you some good content so you stay engaged and are interested. Because again, I love Clemson, and I am a huge Clemson Tiger fan. It has been a tough season for sure. But it's definitely one that we don't have a lot. We're not missing out on talking points either. But thanks again. And if you're new and you're sticking with me to the third segment, thanks for that. Make sure you hit that follow and subscribe. And then also follow me over on X at the Morgan T Show. Speaking of the defense, I want to start from the defensive line out, because I told you I truly believe the problem with this season can revolve around a few different things. One is the line of scrimmage on the offense, and 2, the line of scrimmage on the defense. And it really stops right there, because both have been drastically underperforming this season to the point where it's, disgusting and frustrating to watch. You have a highly paid defensive front that is not scaring anybody. And that is my biggest thing, is that TJ Parker, congratulations on the wedding, by the way. During the bye week, he got married to the love of his life. I believe she was a Clemson volleyball player. So awesome there. I went to see a volleyball game. That was fun. All great times. TJ Parker, congratulations. But there are 5 games left to go. Hopefully the honeymoon is after the season. Maybe you planned it in February or January. Hopefully you didn't plan it in December. But I would say that TJ Parker has to show up more in November. This is the time. Things are going great for you. You're on cloud 9 right now. Why not take that joy that you have in your life right now and just transition it to the defense? It doesn't seem like you're having as much fun from the outside looking in. I don't know this personally, but I'm sure one thing that would make you have some joy on the football field is getting a sack, getting to the backfield. So I want to see him get to the backfield and tear it up. I mean, what is even his post-sack celebration right now? We don't even remember his post-sack celebration because we don't see him, and that's the big problem. There needs to be a post-sack celebration that is a marquee for him, and that is a signature that all the fans know, and you don't have it. And I could even say that for Will Helt, who's done a little bit better, but he needs to continue to push himself as well. This whole team on the defensive line is not just one person, and it's not just one person's responsibility to do better. Will Helt has got to continue to push himself and make advancements. Peter Woods, we're starting to see his physical limitations. It seems as if double teams, just shut him down completely. And he's not able to break apart from them. He's not able to shift double teams or even hunt down runners from the backfield when he's engaged in a block. And that's a big concern for me if I'm an NFL scout, because he's just not tearing it up in the sense of Christian Wilkins. He's just not tearing it up in the sense of Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence is still getting double teamed to this day in the NFL and still finding ways to get out of it. I can't say that for Peter Woods. I can't say he's finding ways to get out of double teams. He's getting in them, that's for sure, which is not a bad thing. Taking up 2 blockers is never a bad thing, but he's got to find ways to get out of them. And one way that he could get help is from his teammates like DeMonte Capehart, Stephylon Green, Parker and Help. You know, those guys have to be more aggressive and execute at a quicker pace than what they've been doing in order to reset what the offense is doing and kind of not be able to afford to double team Peter Woods. Right now, what we've been seeing is that it's really no problem at all to just double team Peter Woods because the other guys can be handled one-on-one. Nobody would have ever thought that would be the case to start this season, and it should have never been held to a standard. That's what's now is the norm, is Helt, Parker, and Capehart or Green are getting held one-on-one while Peter Woods gets a double team. Those guys getting off their blocks much faster will be able to reset what that offensive line can do and rethink that their ability to be able to double team Peter Woods every single time. If Peter Woods can't show this last 5 months that he can get off the blocks, if I'm an NFL scout, that's a huge concern for me. He's going to go to the NFL draft and they're going to start talking about his range and his length and some of that lack of ability to get off those blocks. We think that in the NFL draft, he's going to be a first rounder, a high first rounder. I saw CBS put him at a 4th overall draft pick. To me, that is a huge miss, in my opinion. I would never draft Peter Woods higher than you would have drafted some of these legendary guys that are in the NFL right now. Peter Woods could be one of those guys, if they continue to mock draft him as one of the top 5 guys, he could be one of those guys that drops all the way out of the first round. He could be one of those guys that stays in the green room embarrassed. And you could trace it all the way back to the fact that in 2025, he couldn't get off of blocks, you know? And so he's got to show it now. You got 5 games, no bye weeks for the rest of your season, and really to cash in on what people think they're going to get from you. I said that this way too. Halloween ends on Friday. November 1st is on Saturday. Why not just make all of November Halloween? The defensive line has got to be scarier than they are right now. So for me, the biggest thing that I want to see from the defense, must see, is that defensive line, because I do feel like it grows from there. As the defensive line gets disruptive, the linebackers and the secondary have a little bit less stress on them, and it makes everyone play a little bit better when the defensive line is feared. Beyond the defensive line, I want to see more Jeremiah Alexander. I don't really like the 4-2-5. I've been very vocal about that. I hate it. If Jeremiah Alexander needs to be out there and they need to change to a 4-3 to do it, then do it. If they need to change to a 3-4 to do it, then do it. Heck, you're already standing up your defensive ends anyways, so that's a faux 3-4 anyways. So if it needs to happen, make it happen. Just 2 linebackers out there, and one of those linebackers being Wade Woodaz is not a good solution. Jeremiah Alexander needs to be out there. He doesn't have much time left in his career. Get him out there. And then finally, Jaden Lucas. Jaden Lucas, it was billed as a 5-star guy, has had glimpses of that, but has dealt with injuries all throughout his Clemson career. Is he healthy or not? If he's not healthy, then just remove him off of this list. If he is healthy, then it's time for him to step up and be a top cornerback in the country that we were promised as a recruit. I do believe that it's somewhere there in him, but he's got to show it and he's got to prove it. But if he's healthy, they got to get him out there. He can't be a healthy scratch with no snaps. He is too valuable to this team as far as your talent-wise goes to not have him out there. I don't care if he's slow or if he does things bad. what you're seeing now is still getting you 4 losses and no home wins. So Jaden Lucas, if you're healthy, if you're going to go, then it's time to be a top cornerback that you were promised from the recruiting world. And that's my thoughts on the defense, on the offense, and how Clemson got to where they are today. Definitely a frustrating season, but all of these things I mentioned today are not shocking things that need a complete explosion of the team and wiping the slate clean. All of these things can actually happen this Saturday. And so that's why I pointed it out there. If you really think about it, the path of emptying and cleaning house is a much more difficult path. You think you're in the valley now. Go ahead and try to clean the house and restart over from scratch, non-Dabo. That's going to be a nightmare for Clemson going forward. You may not like me to say this, but Clemson is a small market team. There's no Lamborghini of Pickens, but there's a Lamborghini of Austin, Texas. There's a Lamborghini of Atlanta, and so Clemson is going to have to play smart with their money. Dumping $60 million to Dabo Swinney to clean slates, not smart. Keep what you have, and you can make a list of things that Clemson shouldn't be able to do immediately, and there's a long list of things they should be able to do to improve. This team has a lot higher ceiling than we've been seeing, for sure. Thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out Locked On ACC. Kenton Gibbs, Alex Dono break down the most interesting conference in college sports, from the rivalries to the championships to every game in between. Find Locked On ACC on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. And as always, Tiger fans, we'll see you tomorrow, and we'll see you at the top of the hill.